The stars over Earth shone silently, as if unaware of the storm brewing at the edges of the galaxy. Humanity had grown accustomed to looking upward, not in fear, but with curiosity. For centuries, humans had expanded their reach into space, building colonies on the Moon, Mars, and even the outer planets of the solar system. Yet despite this growth, Earth remained the heart of human civilization, the home that all other worlds reflected back upon. It was a planet rich in life, culture, and ingenuity, and now, for the first time, it would be tested in a way no human had ever imagined. At the edge of the solar system, beyond the orbit of Neptune, sensors detected a fleet unlike any humans had seen before. Ships of immense size, sleek and black, with patterns that seemed impossible to comprehend, were moving with deliberate speed toward Earth. The fleet belonged to the Galactic Empire, a civilization that had conquered hundreds of star systems, enslaved countless alien species, and wiped out those who resisted. Humanity had always heard stories of the Empire, of its power and ruthlessness, but until now, the Empire had paid Earth no attention. Now, that attention was coming, and it was not quiet. In orbit above Earth, the United Earth Space Command had mobilized rapidly. Command centers hummed with activity, screens lit up with star maps, and fleets that had spent decades in development were readied for combat. Admiral Lena Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship, the horizon, her eyes scanning the view screen as new reports came in. Her hair was pulled back tight, her uniform crisp, but her mind raced faster than any signal from the approaching fleet. "Admiral," said Lieutenant Kaido, pointing to a projection of the incoming ships, "they're moving faster than any vessel we've seen. Estimates suggest their fleet is capable of planetary bombardment within 3 hours of arrival." "And send the message." Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that scarred the planet, and now it would face something even greater. Back on Earth, ordinary citizens watched the news feeds with a mixture of awe and fear. Children clung to parents as the message appeared on screens worldwide. Scientists explained the magnitude of the threat, military leaders spoke of preparations, and yet, somewhere deep in the hearts of humans, a spark of pride ignited. Humanity was standing together, not as isolated nations, but as a single species defending its home. In the control room of the largest orbital station, a young engineer named Amira Chen worked tirelessly, coordinating automated defense systems. Her fingers flew across holographic panels as she monitored satellites, energy relays, and orbital cannons. Each system was tested, each protocol verified. There was no margin for error. The Empire would not wait for mistakes. Amira paused, breathing heavily. She had spent her life preparing for something like this, but the reality of the Empire's arrival was almost beyond comprehension. "We've done all we can," she murmured to herself. "Now it's time to see if they understand humans at all." For a moment, the vast darkness of space seemed endless, silent, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Then, faint signals began to trickle back. Initially, they were communications from scouts, ships smaller than the main fleet but still massive compared to human vessels. The messages were dismissive, almost mocking, as if the humans on Earth were merely insects to be crushed at leisure. Admiral Torres read the transmissions aloud to her crew. "They think we are primitive," she said, voice low but firm. "They think we will fall easily. Let them think that. It will make their mistake even greater." Humans watched from observatories and satellites as massive warships glided past Jupiter and Saturn, their hulls reflecting starlight like polished obsidian. Humanity's fleets, though smaller and outnumbered, positioned themselves strategically, using the asteroid belts and planetary orbits as natural defenses. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. On the Moon, soldiers prepared for potential landings, setting up rapid deployment bunkers and weapons that could target enemy craft from orbital positions. In the deserts of Mars, engineers activated long-range energy cannons, designed to intercept enemy ships before they could enter Earth's orbit. On Earth itself, the planetary shield systems were online, invisible but strong, capable of repelling even the Empire's most advanced weapons. And yet, the human leadership knew that technology alone would not be enough. Strategy, courage, and ingenuity would be their greatest weapons. As the first encounter drew near, Admiral Torres called a council of her top officers. "We have one chance to show them we are not weak," she said. "Our message is clear. They have been warned. If they come any closer, they will face the full measure of human resistance. We fight not because we hate them, but because we will not be conquered. Humanity deserves its place in the stars. And if they ignore the warning. The first skirmishes were brief but intense, with humans using cunning maneuvers to disable or destroy enemy ships. The Empire's scouts, accustomed to worlds that fell quickly, were caught off guard. For the humans observing the battles, every small victory was a triumph of ingenuity and courage. Engineers and pilots, working together, turned the solar system into a defensive fortress. Amira Chen guided drones through asteroid belts to intercept enemy vessels, while field commanders coordinated ambushes in deep space. Humanity was showing the galaxy that it was not weak, that it would fight with every resource, every strategy, and every ounce of spirit it possessed. On Earth, citizens watched and listened. The initial fear had begun to shift into determination. People volunteered for service, contributed to defense efforts, and shared resources to support the military. Humanity was united in a way never seen before, not by force, but by shared purpose and love for their home planet. The Empire, observing these unexpected results, began to hesitate. Their initial arrogance gave way to caution. Reports came back of human strategies that defied logic, of vessels appearing and disappearing in ways that seemed impossible. It was clear that humanity had prepared for this moment for years, perhaps decades. And as the first full battle approached, Admiral Torres made one last broadcast across the galaxy. Her voice, calm and firm, echoed through every channel that could reach the approaching fleet. "We have given you a warning. Stay away from Earth. Any attack will be met with full human resistance. Do not test us. Do not underestimate us. Humanity will defend its home, and we will not be moved." The humans of Earth had faced countless challenges, and they had risen every time. Now, faced with the might of the Galactic Empire, they would rise again. For the first time, a ripple of uncertainty passed through the Empire's fleet. They had never encountered a species that fought with such determination, such unity, and such courage. And in that moment, the humans of Earth knew one thing clearly. They had already won something greater than a battle. They had won respect, and that respect would be the beginning of humanity's legend in the galaxy. The stars continued to shine over Earth, silent witnesses to the preparations, the courage, and the determination of one planet that would not be conquered. One planet whose people had made it clear that they were ready to defend their home, no matter the cost. The Empire had been warned, and humanity waited, confident in their strength, their unity, and their resolve. The battle for the solar system was about to begin, but Earth would not fall, and humanity would prove to the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. The silence of space was broken by the approach of the Empire's first combat fleet. Their ships moved like shadows across the void, vast and foreboding, engines humming with a sound that echoed in the sensors of human stations. From Earth to the outer colonies, people watched as the largest military force ever seen by humans drew closer. They had been warned. The message had been sent. Now it was time to show what humanity could do. Admiral Lena Torres stood once again on the bridge of the horizon. The tension in the room was palpable, but she remained calm. Her eyes swept across the display of approaching ships, calculating distances, speeds, and potential attack vectors. Beside her, Lieutenant Kaido ran simulations on the odds of engagement, adjusting parameters as new information came in. "They're advancing faster than expected," Kaido said, his voice steady but tight. "Our interceptors can engage them at the outer belt, but the main fleet will reach Jupiter in under 6 hours. Prepare the asteroid field traps, cloak the secondary drones, launch decoy satellites, make them think the solar system is easy prey, and then hit them where it hurts." Massive drones, cloaked to look like natural debris, floated in calculated orbits. Hidden cannons lined the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, ready to fire the moment the enemy entered range. Every move was calculated, every strategy designed to counter the Empire's overwhelming numbers. Amira Chen, at the orbital command station near Mars, coordinated the deployment of these systems. Her fingers flew across holographic panels as she monitored satellites, drones, and interceptor missiles. The first human defenses were already in place, ready to strike without hesitation. "They're detecting the traps," Amira said, eyes widening. "But they're moving too fast to adjust fully. We'll have an opening." In homes, schools, and public spaces, people tuned into live feeds showing the slow dance of fleets and satellites. It was terrifying, but also thrilling. Humanity was about to face its greatest test, and no one was turning away. In orbit near Jupiter, the first clash occurred. The Empire's scout ships moved in formation, confident that humans were too small a threat to fight back. But as they entered the asteroid belt, hidden drones sprang into action. Magnetic fields twisted massive chunks of rock, sending them tumbling toward the enemy in carefully orchestrated collisions. Energy pulses from human satellites disabled ship engines, leaving the massive vessels drifting and vulnerable. On the bridge of the horizon, Lena watched the data streams with satisfaction. They thought this would be easy. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. Pilots maneuvered smaller human craft through narrow asteroid passages, dodging enemy fire while striking vulnerable points in the larger ships. Amira smiled faintly as she watched the results. "It's working," she said. "Every strike hits exactly where we planned. They'll be surprised at our next move." Reports came back to the main fleet that humans were clever, unpredictable, and highly coordinated. The scouts had expected resistance, but nothing on this scale. Even their advanced sensors could not predict the movement of human drones or the sudden appearances of interceptor craft. For the first time, doubt crept into the minds of Empire commanders. Meanwhile, on Earth, scientists and engineers continued to work tirelessly. Energy shields were adjusted to maximize efficiency, communication relays were tested for redundancy, and fleets in the outer solar system prepared for the inevitable escalation. Humanity had given a warning, but now they were proving that the warning was serious. In the midst of the first battle, one young pilot, a woman named Tessa Morales, took a daring risk. Her fighter was small compared to the massive Empire vessels, but she piloted it with precision and courage. Using the shadows of Jupiter's moons, she approached the lead scout ship, narrowly avoiding detection. Then in a single bold maneuver, she released an electromagnetic pulse directly at the ship's core systems. The effect was immediate. The enemy ship shuddered, lights flickering as it drifted helplessly. From the bridge of the horizon, Lena watched the telemetry. "That's the kind of bravery we need," she said quietly. "Every human here is proving that we are more than a planet. We are a force." Each scout ship lost was a reminder that the conquest of Earth would not be simple. Back in the outer colonies, humans prepared for further escalation. Supplies were moved, defenses strengthened, and communication lines reinforced. Across the solar system, a shared sense of purpose spread among all humans. They were united not by fear, but by determination. The Empire might be powerful, but humans were clever, resourceful, and willing to fight for their home. The next wave of the Empire fleet approached, larger and more cautious than the scouts that had come before. Lena knew that the upcoming battles would be tougher. "They've learned something from the scouts," she said. "They know we can fight. But they still underestimate us." As the Empire fleet moved forward, humans held their positions, patient and calculated. Every pilot, every engineer, and every soldier knew their role. It was a test of skill, courage, and unity. The first victories had been small, but they were significant. Humans were sending a clear message. Earth would not fall without a fight. Amira watched the simulations of the incoming fleet. "We have a chance to make them think twice," she said. "If we can disable even half of their ships, the main fleet will hesitate. Fear is as powerful as any weapon." Every human contributed to the defense, turning fear into action and uncertainty into courage. The first real confrontation began near Saturn. The Empire fleet moved confidently, unaware of the traps waiting in the planet's rings. Human drones activated, weaving through icy debris, targeting engines and shields. Gravity wells were manipulated to push enemy ships off course, while energy pulses disabled key systems. The vast and confident fleet of the Empire found itself struggling against a smaller, but infinitely clever opponent. Amid the chaos, human pilots executed daring maneuvers. They moved quickly, striking then disappearing into shadows. The Empire fleet was powerful, but it was rigid, slow to react. Humans used flexibility, creativity, and unity as weapons. Each small victory built confidence, not just among soldiers, but among all humans watching. Lena observed the battle, a mix of relief and pride filling her chest. Humanity was holding its own against an empire that had never met resistance like this before. And as the first major wave of the Empire fleet retreated to regroup, Lena made a decision. "This is only the beginning. We've shown them that we are not to be underestimated. We've sent our warning, and they've felt the consequences." The thought that conquering Earth might be more dangerous than expected began to take root. Across the galaxy, the seeds of a legend were being planted. Humans were not just a species to be conquered, they were a species to be respected. In orbit around Earth, Lena turned to her crew. "We've won this battle," she said. "But the war is far from over. Remember what we are fighting for. Our home, our people, our future. Humanity will not be broken. Humanity will not be conquered. And humanity will show the galaxy that it is a force to be reckoned with." Humans had demonstrated courage, ingenuity, and unity. The warning had been issued, and now the Empire knew that Earth would not yield easily. Across the planet, celebrations were tempered by caution. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike knew that more challenges lay ahead. But for the first time, humanity felt a sense of pride that went beyond survival. They had faced an enemy unlike any other, and they had not faltered. They had proven that Earth was worth defending, and that its people were willing to do whatever it took. The stars over the solar system glimmered, silent witnesses to the first human victories. The Galactic Empire had been warned, and humanity had already shown that it was not to be underestimated. And as humans looked up at the stars, one truth was clear: Earth would fight, and humans would not back down. Their ingenuity, courage, and unity were their greatest weapons, and the galaxy had only just begun to understand them. The solar system had grown quiet after the first clash, but the calm was only temporary. The Empire was regrouping, and intelligence reports confirmed what humanity feared. The main fleet was on its way. Hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons and shielded against the most advanced human technology, were moving toward Earth. They carried the Empire's confidence and arrogance, assuming the planet that had resisted scouts could not withstand a full assault. Admiral Lena Torres stood on the bridge of the horizon, her eyes fixed on the sensor screens that showed the approaching fleet. Every detail was tracked: ship positions, speeds, formations, energy signatures. She had spent years preparing for this moment, and now it had arrived. Humanity had won small victories, but this battle would test them in ways nothing else had. Lieutenant Kaito turned to her, his face tense but determined. "We've analyzed their fleet. They outnumber us at least 10 to 1. Their weapons could destroy entire cities from orbit. If we fail, Earth will pay the price. Prepare the fleet. Every pilot, every drone, every system. Now is the time to act." Humanity had learned from the scouts. They would not face this fleet with brute force alone. They would fight smart, using the solar system itself as a weapon. On the moon, soldiers and engineers worked around the clock. Massive railguns and energy cannons had been positioned along key points, capable of firing hundreds of kilometers into space. Supply lines were fortified, and emergency evacuation plans were prepared for civilians, though hope remained that no human life would be lost. Amira Chen, at the orbital command station near Mars, coordinated the deployment of every system. All drones are in position, cloaking active, interceptor pathways mapped, gravitational traps ready. The moment they enter the inner system, they will face everything we've prepared. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed the intensity of her focus. The Empire fleet emerged from the darkness of the outer system. Their sheer size was overwhelming, a massive wave of metal and fire stretching across space. The humans watching from their stations and observatories felt a mix of awe and fear. This was no ordinary threat. This was a force unlike any humanity had ever encountered. The first shots were fired near Saturn. Humans had positioned energy traps and cloaked drones within the planet's rings, and the Empire fleet was caught off guard. Ships collided with sudden gravitational shifts, engines failed under the strain of precise energy pulses, and missiles were redirected with near-perfect accuracy. The humans had learned to turn the solar system itself into a weapon, exploiting its natural hazards to their advantage. Tessa Morales, the young fighter pilot who had struck the lead scout ship weeks earlier, led a squadron into the heart of the battle. She weaved through asteroid fields, avoiding enemy fire while releasing coordinated attacks. Her movements were precise, almost artistic, as she struck vulnerable points in the enemy ships before disappearing into shadows. On the bridge of the horizon, Lena watched the battle unfold. "This is it," she said quietly. "We've trained for this moment. Every human here is part of something greater. Remember why we fight. Remember what we protect." Human ingenuity and adaptability made the difference. Smaller vessels darted where larger ones could not follow, hidden drones struck from unexpected angles, and gravitational traps disrupted formation after formation. Even more remarkable were the human strategies outside the battlefield. Communications had been sent to friendly alien civilizations in nearby systems, warning them of the Empire's expansion. Some responded with subtle support, sending encrypted messages with tactical advice or information about enemy weaknesses. Humanity was building alliances, not through force, but through shared understanding and foresight. As the battle continued, Lena received a report from one of the outer stations. Admiral, one of their capital ships is disabled. Shields down, engines offline. It appears they did not anticipate our tactics. Every ship we disable sends a message. Humanity is not to be underestimated. Several smaller ships followed, and within moments the Empire lost one of its largest vessels. The humans celebrated quietly within their stations. Victory in these small battles meant more than just the destruction of ships. It meant proof of their strength, proof that Earth would not fall. Yet everyone knew the main fight was far from over. On Earth, civilians contributed in countless ways. Scientists and engineers provided real-time calculations to pilots and fleet commanders, optimizing weapon trajectories and defensive strategies. Volunteers helped maintain communication networks and power supplies, ensuring that every system functioned flawlessly. Humanity was united, not by fear, but by purpose. Every human had a role in this battle, and every role mattered. The Empire fleet, now facing unexpected resistance, began to adjust its approach. They realized that humans were not just clever, they were relentless. Every engagement revealed a new tactic, a new strategy, a new form of ingenuity. The commanders began to doubt whether sheer power alone could achieve victory. Lena watched the enemy communications and noted the hesitation. "They are beginning to understand," she said. "They thought this would be easy, they thought Earth would fall quickly, now they see what humans are capable of." Humanity's courage was contagious, spreading through the fleet and across the solar system. Every sacrifice strengthened the resolve of those still fighting. Amira Chen coordinated another strike near the asteroid belt. "Deploy the drones, engage the magnetic pulse. We can take out at least 3 more ships if we time it right." The Empire fleet, already struggling to maintain formation, was caught in a series of sudden attacks. Ships collided, engines failed, and chaos spread through their lines. Humans had turned the environment of the solar system itself into a weapon, using strategy and intelligence to overcome overwhelming odds. As the battle raged, Lena issued a broadcast across the fleet. "We fight not just for Earth, but for all humanity. Every one of us has a part to play. We are clever, brave, and united. The Empire may have power, but we have something they cannot take, the will to protect our home. Fight with courage, fight with intelligence, and show them what it means to challenge humanity." Back on Earth, citizens cheered quietly at the news of the small victories. They understood the stakes, yet hope had returned. Humans had defended their home with creativity and courage. The Empire had underestimated them, and the price of that mistake was already apparent. Even in the midst of battle, humanity looked forward. Plans were made for future engagements, for further counterattacks, and for strengthening alliances. The solar system itself had become a battlefield, but it had also become a testament to human ingenuity. Tessa Morales returned from her squadron's mission, exhausted but triumphant. Her ship docked at a station near Jupiter, and she was greeted by the smiles and nods of fellow pilots. "You've done well," Lena said. "Every victory counts, every maneuver, every decision, it all matters. Humanity is showing the galaxy that Earth cannot be conquered easily. That lesson will stay with them." Admiral Lena Torres looked out at the stars, silent and endless beyond the window of the horizon. The battle had been won for now, but the war was far from over. Humanity had shown what it could do when united, but greater challenges lay ahead. The Empire would return, stronger and more determined. Yet for the first time, humanity felt a sense of pride that went beyond survival. They had faced the might of the Galactic Empire and had not only survived, they had triumphed through intelligence, bravery, and unity. The legend of humans was beginning to spread across the stars, carried in whispers and reports that spoke of courage, creativity, and unyielding spirit. And as Earth turned beneath the orbiting stations, lights shining in cities and towns, humanity waited, ready for whatever would come next. They had faced scouts in the first waves of an empire. They had fought with every weapon, every strategy, and every ounce of courage they possessed. And the message was clear to the galaxy: humans were not to be underestimated. The Empire had seen the first taste of human ingenuity. The galaxy had begun to see the first signs of human bravery. And Earth, the home of all humanity, had sent a warning that could not be ignored. The fight for survival had become a fight for respect. And humanity would show the galaxy that they were a force unlike any other, The calm that followed the last engagement did not last long. Humanity had won small victories, but the Empire was far from defeated. The main fleet, bruised but still overwhelming, was gathering reinforcements. Reports from scouts indicated that hundreds of new warships were moving toward the solar system, each more advanced than the last. The Empire's commanders had learned that humans were clever, but now they intended to show them the full might of their power. On the bridge of the horizon, Admiral Lena Torres watched the reports come in. Her face was steady, but her mind raced. Every scenario, every possible outcome had to be considered. The humans of Earth had proven they could fight smart, but could they sustain their defenses against the Empire's full strength? Lieutenant Kaito leaned over her shoulder, reviewing the latest intelligence. "They're coming in waves," he said. "This time we cannot rely on traps alone. They'll break through if we don't hit them first." Humanity has prepared for this. We have the advantage of home territory, intelligence, and unity. Every ship, every drone, every pilot must act as one. The Empire may have numbers, but we have strategy and courage. Let's show them why Earth cannot be conquered. Drones were hidden throughout the asteroid belts and planetary orbits, ready to activate at the precise moment. Energy weapons were fully charged, cloaking systems were operational, and smaller fighter craft were positioned for rapid maneuvers. Every system was linked, every command synchronized. Humanity was ready not just to defend, but to take the fight to the Empire. Amira Chen, coordinating from the orbital station near Mars, gave final checks on all systems. All drones deployed, cloaking active, gravitational traps ready, launch routes optimized, interceptor squads in position. The moment the fleet reaches Jupiter, they will face everything we've prepared. Their ships were massive, their weapons powerful, and their shields nearly impervious. They expected resistance, yes, but not the kind humanity was preparing to unleash. The humans had learned to use the solar system itself as a weapon, and now it was time to turn that knowledge into a counterstrike. Near Jupiter, Tessa Morales and her squadron waited in the shadows. Their mission was simple: lure a portion of the fleet into a trap. Using the planet's gravity, they would create momentum for hidden drones to strike, disabling engines and shields before the larger human ships engaged. Tessa's fingers danced across the controls, her eyes sharp as she calculated precise timing. "Stay sharp," Lena's voice came through the comms. "Every move counts. One mistake and they could break through, but I have no doubt you can do this. Humanity fights with intelligence, courage, and unity. Let them see it." Gravitational traps sent massive rocks tumbling into their paths. Missiles fired from hidden orbital cannons struck critical points in the enemy formation. Chaos spread through the Empire fleet, and for the first time their commanders felt true fear. Tessa's squadron executed a daring maneuver, weaving through the chaos and striking the command vessel of the fleet. Her fighter dodged energy blasts, moving faster than the massive Empire ships could follow. With a precise release of an electromagnetic pulse, the command ship systems faltered, sending confusion through the enemy ranks. The Empire fleet faltered, unable to maintain formation, as humans exploited every weakness with surgical precision. On the bridge of the horizon, Lena smiled faintly. "They're learning too late. Humanity does not fight like other species. We adapt. We overcome. We protect what is ours with every skill we possess." Smaller human vessels darted in and out, striking vulnerable points before disappearing. Cloaked drones activated at the right moments, disabling weapons and engines. Energy pulses and railgun strikes created havoc among the Empire ships. Every action was coordinated, precise, and deadly. Even the civilians contributed. Scientists in labs monitored enemy movements, calculating the optimal points to strike. Engineers on stations adjusted defenses in real time. Volunteers maintained communication networks and power systems. Humanity was united in a way no other species had ever experienced, and that unity was their greatest weapon. Amira Chen directed another wave of drones toward the heart of the Empire fleet. "Target their main shield generators," she said. "We can take out the outer defenses if we time it right. Their ships will be vulnerable for the final strike." Another group of fighters used the shadows of Saturn's rings to launch surprise attacks on heavily armored ships. Within moments, the Empire fleet had lost several of its largest vessels, and confusion spread among their ranks. The Empire commanders were stunned. Their numbers were vast, their weapons powerful, yet they were being outmaneuvered by a species they had considered weak. Every strike by humans was precise, every tactic unexpected. They began to question whether the conquest of Earth was even possible. On Earth, people watched the battle unfold. Despite the fear and uncertainty, hope had returned. Humanity was showing the galaxy that Earth could not be conquered. Children and adults alike felt pride in the courage of their defenders. Soldiers, pilots, and engineers fought not for fame or power, but for home, for family, for the survival of humanity itself. Lena monitored the battlefield as reports came in of the Empire fleet's losses. "Good," she said quietly. "Every ship we disable sends a message. Humans are clever, brave, and united. We fight not because we must, but because we will. Let them understand that lesson." Amira Chen's fingers flew across the control panels as she adjusted drones and defenses. "They're trying to adapt," she said. "But we're faster, smarter, and united. Humanity fights as one." Humanity had not only defended Earth, they had launched a counterstrike that had shown the Empire the cost of underestimating them. Tessa Morales returned to the orbital station, exhausted but triumphant. Fellow pilots greeted her with nods and smiles, acknowledging the victories they had achieved together. "We've done it," she said quietly. "We've shown them who we are. Let every being in the galaxy know that Earth cannot be conquered." On Earth, the people celebrated quietly but with pride. Humanity had faced an enemy unlike any other and had not only survived, they had triumphed. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and civilians alike understood that every role mattered. The planet had stood together, and the message was clear to the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. The stars above the solar system seemed brighter, as if witnessing the courage and ingenuity of humanity. The Empire had been forced to retreat, at least for now, and humanity had proven that they could fight not just with weapons, but with strategy, intelligence, and unity. Lena watched the reports one last time that evening. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "The Empire will return. But humanity has learned something important. We are not weak, and we will never be conquered. Our courage, ingenuity, and unity are our greatest weapons. The galaxy will remember this day." They had defended their home, launched a successful counterstrike, and sent a clear message. Earth was not a world to be taken lightly. The legend of humans was spreading across the stars, and the next chapter in the fight against the Galactic Empire was about to begin. The Empire's retreat had given humanity a moment to breathe, but there was no time for celebration. Reports indicated that reinforcements were already on their way, stronger and more numerous than the fleets they had faced before. Earth's defenses had held, the humans had proven their skill and courage, but the final test of resolve was still ahead. Humanity had sent a warning. Now it was time to ensure that the galaxy would never forget it. Admiral Lena Torres convened a meeting with her top commanders on the bridge of the horizon. The room was tense but focused. Every strategy, every potential tactic, and every weak point of the approaching Empire fleet was discussed in detail. Maps of the solar system flickered across the holographic displays, highlighting asteroid belts, moons, and planetary orbits that could be used for defense or ambush. "We've proven we can fight them," Lena said, her voice steady. "But now we must show them that humanity is more than clever pilots and hidden drones. We are a species united, resilient, and capable of facing any threat. The Empire may return, but this time, we will dictate the terms of engagement. And with the experience from the previous engagements, we can anticipate their movements with greater accuracy. Fear and respect will spread among them before they even face our main forces. Fighter squadrons would strike with precision, hitting command ships and weapons platforms before vanishing into the shadows of planets and asteroids. Every action would be synchronized to ensure maximum impact. The first wave of the Empire fleet entered the outer solar system. Their commanders were confident, expecting humans to defend their home with predictable tactics. They were wrong. Tessa Morales led her squadron through the asteroid belt near Jupiter, luring a section of the fleet into the trap. Hidden drones activated, releasing bursts of energy that disabled shields and engines. Massive rocks tumbled into the path of enemy ships, colliding with devastating effect. The Empire vessels faltered, confusion spreading through their lines. From the bridge of the horizon, Lena watched the battle unfold. "This is it," she said. "Every ship, every pilot, every system is part of something greater. Humanity fights not just to survive, but to prove that we are more than a planet. We are a species to be respected." Gravitational traps disrupted formation, cloaked drones struck vulnerable points, and fighter craft darted through gaps too small for larger ships to enter. Every strike by humans was calculated, precise, and deadly. Amira Chen coordinated a secondary attack near Saturn. "Target their energy cores," she instructed. "If we disable the main power systems, their fleet will be crippled before reaching Earth." The drones responded instantly, moving with perfect timing. Energy pulses disabled engines and weapons on several of the Empire's largest ships, leaving them drifting helplessly. On Earth, citizens watched in awe as news feeds streamed live images of the battle. Despite fear, pride surged through humanity. Every victory, every clever tactic, every courageous maneuver reminded them that their home could not be conquered. Children, parents, and elders all shared in the knowledge that humanity was standing together, united against a force that had threatened countless worlds. The Empire fleet faltered. Commanders tried to regain control, but their ships were scattered and disabled. They had not expected such coordinated, intelligent resistance. Every move they made was anticipated, every tactic countered. It became clear that Earth was no ordinary planet, and its people were no ordinary defenders. Tessa Morales executed a daring maneuver near Mars, leading her squadron directly at the flagship of the Empire's fleet. Her fighters weaved through concentrated fire, reaching the command vessel with precision. With a calculated strike, she disabled the ship's communication and targeting systems, sending chaos through the fleet. The Empire's soldiers, used to unquestioned obedience and overwhelming power, were now struggling to respond to a smaller, faster, smarter enemy. Meanwhile, human engineers worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Satellites adjusted in real time to target the Empire's fleet, energy shields absorbed the strongest attacks, and drones deployed countermeasures against incoming missiles. Every element of the solar system became part of the battle. Every human contributed to the defense, and every move was synchronized for maximum effect. Admiral Torres addressed the fleet over communications. "We fight not just to protect Earth, but to show the galaxy who we are. We fight with courage, intelligence, and unity. The Empire may have power, but we have something they cannot take, the will to survive and the determination to protect our home. Let this day be remembered as the day humanity proved its strength." Ships collided, systems failed, and the once mighty fleet was forced to retreat beyond Saturn, leaving the inner solar system secure. The humans had won the battle, not through brute force alone, but through strategy, courage, and unity. They had defended their home, crippled the Empire's fleet, and sent a clear message across the galaxy. Earth was not a world to be taken lightly. On Earth, celebrations were tempered by awareness that the threat was not over. Humanity had faced the Empire and survived, but the galaxy was vast, and other challenges would come. Yet pride filled the hearts of everyone who had contributed, from soldiers to scientists to volunteers. They had proven that humans could face overwhelming odds and not only survive, but triumph. Lena stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching reports of the retreating fleet. "We've shown them what humanity can do," she said quietly. "They will think twice before challenging Earth again, but remember, our strength is not just in weapons. It is in our unity, our courage, and our intelligence. That is what makes us unstoppable." "They've learned something important today," she said. "Humans fight as one, and we will protect what is ours." No force in the galaxy could take Earth without paying a steep price. The Empire, now retreating, began to reconsider its approach. Reports came back of human ingenuity, bravery, and strategy that had outmatched even the most advanced technology. Commanders realized that Earth was not a simple target, but a planet defended by a species unlike any they had encountered. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky, knowing that the stars above were no longer distant and unknowable. Humanity had reached a new level of recognition in the galaxy. They had defended their home, proven their strength, and sent a warning to all. Humans were not to be underestimated. Lena addressed the fleet one final time. "The Empire has been warned. They have seen our strength and our courage. Let every being in the galaxy understand, Earth is not a prize to be taken lightly. Humanity will defend its home, and we will do so with intelligence, unity, and courage. Stay away from Earth or face the consequences." It was a declaration of humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans had faced an overwhelming force and had triumphed. They had turned the solar system itself into a weapon, used every skill, every strategy, and every ounce of courage to protect what they loved most, their home. As night fell across Earth, lights shining in cities, towns, and rural areas, humanity celebrated quietly but proudly. They had survived, they had triumphed, and they had proven something greater. that even against impossible odds, humans could stand together and achieve greatness. And in the silence of space, as the Empire retreated and the solar system settled into calm, one truth was clear. Earth would never bow to invaders, and humanity had earned its place as a force to be respected across the galaxy. The battle was over, but the legend of humans had just begun. Across the stars, whispers spread of a species clever, brave, and united enough to face the might of an empire and survive. Humanity had sent its warning, and the galaxy had listened. From that day forward, no fleet dared approach the Sol system without caution. Earth had stood tall, defended by a species determined, intelligent, and united. Humanity had proved that they were more than a planet. They were a force that could not be ignored. And as the stars shone silently above, Earth remained safe, its people vigilant, proud, and ready for whatever challenges the galaxy might bring.